A very good evening to you all, and thank you for joining us here on Rwanda Television News tonight. Our hope is that you had yourselves a productive Thursday and are enjoying the festivities of the month of December. Here's a sneak peek of our edition tonight. The delegation from the Parliamentary Forum for the Prevention of Genocide, Denial and Revisionism of the Genocide against the Tutsi visited citizens in various districts of the country and engaged with leaders at different levels on unity, resilience and challenges still present in this journey. Increasing products made in Rwanda as well as easing local investment for Rwandans in diaspora were reiterated by the National Consultative Forum of Political Parties as the boost of the country's economy growth. On the international scale, since Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, Ukrainian soldiers have been receiving training from NATO troops. We're glad to have your company tonight, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali. My name is Martina Abera. Kicking things off, let us inform you that the delegation from the Parliamentary Forum for the Prevention of Genocide, Denial and Revisionism of the Genocide against the Tutsi visited citizens in various districts of the country and engaged with leaders at different levels on unity, resilience and challenges still present in this journey. In the Rukumberi sector of Ngoma district of the Eastern Province, it was revealed that there are still some residents who hold ethnically based mindsets and others who harbor genocide ideologies. Additionally, some do not participate in government programs, meetings, or family evening discussions, which are platforms where various nation-building initiatives are disseminated. It was also noted that in this sector, there are individuals who were convicted by gacaca courts, but have continued to evade justice, sometimes returning to the sector in secret, and the information is not reported to facilitate their arrest. On Thursday, the East African Standby Force Chiefs of Defense joined the experts working group at the 33rd Policy Organs meeting running from 16th to 21st December 2024 in Kigali, Rwanda. The EASF Chiefs of Defense reaffirmed their commitment to member states' pledges and acknowledged the valuable suggestions and recommendations provided by the experts during 3 days of deliberations. Presiding over the opening session, Rwanda's Minister of Defense, Honorable Juvenal Marizamunda, praised the strong partnerships among member states in their ongoing efforts to promote peace and stability.
Many challenges continue to lie ahead in our region and the continent as a whole. The nature of conflicts is also continuously evolving, involving an array of non-state actors. Ending the scourge of war and human suffering is the common goal we all share. It is for this reason that I urge all of us to scale up our response mechanism, adapt them to the challenges at hand, and use all means at our disposal in order to realize peace and security in our region and the continent. We need to work together across political, security, development, and humanitarian pillars by deepening our partnership as member states, regional mechanism, and our umbrella organization, the African Union, for effective contribution to the promotion of peace, security, and stability.
Speaking on behalf of the Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff of the EASF, General M.K. Mubarak, the RDF Chief of Defense Staff, assured that the EASF Chiefs of Defense Staff remain committed to providing crucial guidance to improve the force's operational readiness.
The EASF is currently celebrating its 20th anniversary since its inception in the year 2004. During this period, the chiefs of defense staff have witnessed tremendous growth of the organization in many aspects, with all efforts focused developing a viable capability of choice for addressing peace and security challenges in the region and the continent at large.
Justice officials in Rwanda have stated that there are no plans to increase the number of judges or other court staff. Instead, the government will focus on reforming laws and educating citizens and stakeholders to implement the restorative justice policy launched in September 2022. Legal advocates have expressed concerns over the backlog of cases in courts, despite measures like the establishment of access to justice bureaus and other systems designed to facilitate justice delivery. They argue that the number of personnel involved in providing justice does not match the number of individuals facing legal charges. In an exclusive interview with RBA, the president of the Supreme Court, Domitille Mukanagazwa, elaborated on the ongoing reforms in the justice sector. These reforms aim to align the penal code with Rwanda's vision for justice. While these legal reforms are underway, responsible institutions are drafting a document to replace previous directives issued by the Prosecutor General and the President of the Supreme Court. These directives were used to mediate between offenders and victims or to resolve commercial disputes. Moving over to the next story, increasing products made in Rwanda, as well as easing local investment for Rwandans in diaspora, were reiterated by the National Consultative Forum of Political Parties as they are boosting the country's economic growth. We have more of this from Prince Manzi.
On Thursday, there was held discussions between the members of the National Consultative Forum of Political Parties and the Ministers of Infrastructure and Finance, tackling on the achievements of the NST1 and the implementation of the NST2. The spokesperson of this forum, Alphonse Mubana, affirms their appreciation of the NST1 achievements.
Reka wenda dutangirire ku burezi. Mwabonye amashuri yubatswe. Reka dutangire ku bikorwa remezo. Mwabonye imihanda ahantu hose.
Let's start with education. Schools were built, infrastructures, roads were built. Gender balance in leadership is also considered. We also consider the social life. The life expectancy grew from 30-something after the genocide against the Tutsi to 69 currently. That means a lot done in all sectors. Political parties will continue to collaborate with the government to achieve even more. The ideas provided by the public and various institutions, including political parties, helped to establish the broad guidelines for the second national strategy for transformation, NST2. The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Yusuf Murangwa, tackles on the role of political parties in the implementation of the NST2.
We said that the details of NST2 link with what we need to do in different sectors, like agriculture, health, education, infrastructure, all sectors, and also what we want to see at district level in terms of development at district level. So we also emphasize the role of both government and private sector and political parties in mobilizing everyone to be able to succeed with NST2. Their role is mainly, the role of political parties in Rwanda in NST2 is mainly to continue mobilizing their members to support and implement NST2, but also to continue following up in the different institutions where they are also members. They are members in parliament, they are members in different government institutions. They are supposed to continue following up so that there is oversight in the implementation of NST2 and to continue giving guidance on how to implement.
In these discussions, the Infrastructure Minister, Dr. Jimmy Gasore, demonstrated the government approaches in addressing challenges found in the transport sector.
So the main one in the short term is what we have sorted as the distance-based payment system. This is we are already implementing, and we see a very good acceptance with population and the bus operators. We see that it is improving the movement of the buses. We have built trust on the passengers that wait in the bus stations, which also in turn built trust on the bus operators to start the bus in the bus stations even when it's not full, because the bus expects to see more passengers along the way. So this is improving, and we have also highlighted that we are setting up a company, a government company that will own and operate buses. Yes, we are going to unpack as the time moves, but we are pushing forward to improve the junctions with the overpass like bridges and the underpass or tunnels in some of the junction in the city of Kigali. We are thinking the Sherando junction, Gishushu junction, and Sonatip junction as a starting point, and it will also spread to other junctions in the city of Kigali. We are also understand that buses will not be sufficient in public transport in the city of Kigali. So we are conducting studies on long-term, including elevated monorail and the other options for public transport.
The NST2 aims to take the country closer to achieving the Vision 2050 and the intermediate targets of 2035, including agriculture output expected to grow at an annual average rate of over 6% per year and creating 1.25 million productive and decent jobs. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
Residents of Kigali City are actively preparing for the festive season, expressing gratitude for the prevailing peace and security that enables them to celebrate with their families. The spokesperson for the Rwanda National Police, ACP Boniface Rutikanga, has emphasized that the police are fully prepared to ensure the safety of all citizens so they can enjoy the year-end festivities peacefully. The Rwanda Utilities Regulatory Authority has announced plans for transportation during the holiday season for those traveling to various parts of the country. These arrangements will be in place from December 23rd to 24th and December 30th to 31st. Designated pickup points have been set up based on travelers' destinations, including the Pele Stadium, Kabuga Bus Terminal, Kicukiro Nyanza Bus Terminal, and the Nyabugogo Bus Park. The measures aim to address the congestion typically seen at Nyabugogo during the holiday rush as people travel to the provinces to spend time with their families. Farmers, especially those working in the Kagitumba Valley in Nyagatare district, express optimism about a good harvest, but they are requesting that the issue of markets for their produce be addressed in advance. Local authorities in the district have also been urged to help farmers secure markets for their crops early, as it is expected that over 130,000 tons of maize will be harvested in this season. In the Kagitumba Valley, one of the most irrigated areas in Rwanda, over 95% of the 900 hectares are planted with maize in the 2025A planting season. Some crops are already ripening, and the modern irrigation methods employed have helped farmers achieve good yields. They expect even higher production in this season. In the same season, the expected maize yield in the Kagitumba Valley is over 5,000 tons, which represents a 5% increase from the previous season. Across Nyagatare district, it is anticipated that over 130,000 tons of maize will be harvested, grown on 29,000 hectares. Although delayed rainfall caused some farmers to plant later, the Agriculture Department in the district remains confident that the expected yield will be achieved with a success rate above 90%. While concluding a retreat from district leaders and partners, the governor of the Eastern Province, Prudence Rubingisa, emphasized that local authorities must ensure that farmers have what they need, including market access, before the harvest is ready. Nationwide, a total of 274,379 hectares have been planted with maize in the 2025 A season, with the Eastern Province accounting for nearly 50% of the total area. In addition to market concerns, farmers in the region highlight the need for better infrastructure for post-harvest handling, including storage and drying facilities, as these are still insufficient. Tea farmers in the Rutsiro district have confirmed that tea farming has greatly improved their livelihoods, marking a significant change from their previous way of life. The collaboration between the farmers and Rutsiro Tea Factory has led to an increase in both the quantity and quality of tea production, now exceeding 2 million tons annually compared to the thousands of tons previously produced. During the celebration of National Tea Farmers Day, more than 1,500 tea farmers in Rutsiro expressed that since they started growing tea in 2010, abandoning other crops, the living standards of cooperatives member under the Rute Grok cooperative have improved significantly. The increased production is attributed to several factors, one of the most anticipated one being workers having the construction of daycare center by the factory. This has allowed children to stay safe while parents can work without worry. Data from the Rutsiro Tea Factory shows that the area cultivated with tea and the overall production have increased. The production has risen from over 253,000 kilograms of tea leaves in 2014 to a projected 6 million kilograms of tea leaves in 2024, equivalent to about 1.5 million kilograms of dry tea. Heading over to the next one, over 100 million Rwandan francs have been paid to some of the rehabilitees at the Iwawa Rehabilitation Center after being employed in construction work currently taking place at the center. These individuals expressed their intention to use the money as capital for various businesses they plan to start once they leave Iwawa. Initially, around 40 rehabilitees who were studying trades were employed in the construction work, but now with the work nearing completion, over 1,000 rehabilitees are involved in these tasks. Currently, more than 5,000 individuals are being rehabilitated at Iwawa, the majority of whom are young people. Now, Rwanda government has taken a decision to drop further the time and cost of services offered to traders through all government agencies as a collaborative strategy to unlock Rwanda's business potential and further break barriers to trade. William Evans Mutabazi has more on this report.
Meeting different players in business and trade in a high-level dialogue on elimination of non-tariff barriers, the Minister of Trade and Industry assured traders that the government is working on reducing barriers, including the time spent to have goods cleared, but also the cost of services through different government agencies.
Non-tariff barriers are embedded in our regulations, rules and laws, and sometimes they are also part of the processes on regular basis. They become barriers when they restrict trade, they become barriers when they delay, or when they add additional cost and necessary cost to doing business. That's why we need to have this kind of dialogue, a constant dialogue where the private sector will continue to report to the government where non-tariff barriers are affecting their businesses, where non-tariff barriers are not solving any problem but rather causing problems. Because they are embedded in laws and rules and procedures, most of the non-tariff barriers are introduced as non-tariff measures for government to protect health of the people, to protect the environment, or for security or public health, or sometimes due to infrastructure challenges. So this dialogue is just to make sure that those barriers are constantly reported, monitored, notified where necessary, removed and eliminated. For the service delivery, the government has already taken decisions to reduce the time of service provision to all government, through all government agencies, to the extent that, we have this concept of one-stop border post. So we have to make sure, like, if there are 5 government institutions that provide one service to the private sector, they first have to centralize that service in one-stop border post, so that the private operator doesn't have to move from one place to the other. The cost of that service has been reviewed. Now going forward, the service will be, the charges or the fee will be based on the service, not on the value, which also is going to reduce tremendously the cost of so many services that were initially offered by government. And third, the duplication has been addressed. Every service will be provided by one institution. So where there used to be duplication, where there used to be duplication of inspections, where there used to be duplication of certificates or duplication of fees, all those issues have been identified and addressed. Going forward, there will be no longer duplication in government services.
Participants of this high-level dialogue on elimination of non-tariff barriers say such an approach is necessary because it enables authorities to know and address issues in a timely manner.
One of the objectives of the activity is to eliminate non-tariff barriers, to work with the government of Rwanda through the Ministry of Trade and Industry to eliminate non-tariff barriers that are affecting our traders to trade across borders.
So we really appreciate this approach for today. Everyone among the business people, they raised some issues and they got some solutions.
So the highlight for me regarding this meeting or dialogue was the fact that the government is much involved in this. That means everyone who has any questions or any concerns, the government is there with any involved parties, to assist and try to come up with answers. The answers are not going to be provided only for this dialogue, and they also promise that there will be other dialogues to come. So we're looking forward for those other dialogues. The more the conversations, the more the questions are addressed, the more the answers will be provided.
After review, going forward, the service cost or fee will be based on the service, not the value, and this is expected to greatly reduce the cost of many services initially offered by the government. William Evans, Mtabazi, RTV News.
The youth of Rwanda have been urged not to remain silent when they witness or experience abuse, as shared in discussions with the Rwanda Investigation Bureau, also known as RIB, and the Israeli Embassy in Rwanda. Enora Gladys with more.
These discussions were held with the youth who are members of the Peace and Love Proclaimers organization as part of the efforts to strengthen the fight against gender-based violence. The youth shared their role in fighting abuse as well as some of the challenges they face when abuse occurs.
First and foremost, I would love to highlight that gender-based violence is broad in terms of how it's committed and how it affects people. Today we got to learn that it does not affect women only, and it channels down to the men. And heading to its effects, we saw that they can be physical. This is in terms of violent actions committed towards someone, and you end up injuring them, bruising them. And then it can also be emotional and mental as well. And we got to, from our discussions in the breakout sessions, we got to realize that the mental impacts not looked at oftentimes, and yet they end up having long-lasting effects that if they are not dealt with, they can result into things like suicide and depression, PTSD, all that. Speaking up. Yeah, GBV can only be fought by speaking up. And this goes to the men. Culturally, we are supposed to be, held back. We don't speak out our feelings, our emotions. And when we are facing these things, we are taught to man up and hold them inside. But from what we learned today, as the youth, we should speak up on these things that are affecting gender.
Role I can play by myself as an individual. First of all, is educating myself and the society at large. And another role I can play is that using my voice, and also the social media, because the youth mostly use social medias, and I can use that for educating some people about gender-based violence, and also offering my time to those scenes or events, like offering counseling services.
Dr. Thierry Murangira, the spokesperson for the Rwanda Investigation Bureau, emphasized the important role of the youth in fighting gender-based violence, especially through the use of social media.
In fight against GBV, we cannot leave behind the impact of social media. In this digital age, social media plays a crucial role in shaping public beliefs. It serves as a powerful tool to educate, raise awareness, and mobilize action against GBV. Through viral campaigns, stories of victims, and real-time activism, platforms like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and so on have connected global community to fight GBV. But on the other hand, social media has its risk. It is a double-edged sword that can be misused to perpetrate harm such as cyber stalking, cyberbullying, online harassment, deep fake abuse, sextortion, using GPS to track your partner, body shaming, or spreading inappropriate online content, often targeting someone because of his or her gender, mostly women and girls. Social media can amplify bullying victims. We must stand against those who use social media to bully women and men who have dared to speak out about GBV. Their courage to share their experience should be met with solidarity, not with abuse. We should also not accept misleading narratives on social media. We must reject those who misuse like hashtag such as men are trash to incite division and hatred.
The ambassador of Israel to Rwanda, Einat Weiss, reminded girls that they should have the courage to speak out when they experience gender-based violence.
Empower is a big word. I think empower is a big word. Empower is education. Empower is networking like they do now. Empower is knowing that if something happens to you, you have friends you can talk with. Empower is knowledge. That's one thing we do. And the second thing, and I talked a little bit about it, skills. Mainly women, because mainly women are the victims of GBV. If they have a few things, A, the support, B, the knowledge, and most important, I think, not most important, but important, is skill sets. Violence doesn't have to be someone who hits you. Violence can be the feeling that you're not safe or you're being abused in your home. It can be verbal violence. It can be passive-aggressive. It can be someone who tells you you're not good enough or shut up, or all this cursing you, who makes you feel not good enough about yourself, second doubt yourself, someone who harms your mental health. This is always GBV. So I think it's important to remember. And the last thing, GBV doesn't happen only at home. It happens in school. It can be by your co-student, it can be by your lecturer or professor. It happens at workplace. A lot of GBV happens in workplace. Every woman, and I'm saying as an ambassador because we have it in our embassy, there must be someone at the workplace you can talk with in confidentiality, and you must know that no one tells around what happens to you. You must feel safe.
Statistics from Rwanda Investigation Bureau show that in the past 2 years, 19,648 people have been victims of gender-based violence, with 10,439 of them being children under the age of 18. Enora Gladys, RwandaTV News.
Thank you for sticking with us on RTV News, and a warm welcome back to other stories making headlines on the international scene. Heading over to the situation in Ukraine. Since Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, Ukrainian soldiers have been receiving training from NATO troops. VOA recently visited one of these training sites where troops from Britain and Canada are training Ukrainian soldiers.
Poland. Ukrainian tank crews are learning how to operate German tanks. NATO soldiers are mentoring Ukrainian troops as part of a military assistance program funded by the European Union. Ukrainian fighters are being taught by troops from Britain, Canada, and Poland.
We can operate all day long using the computers, so driver after the driver will be trained. Secondly, we save the fuel for our tanks, and thanks to this, when the driver will go to the real tank, we are sure that he will avoid any mistakes, because all mistakes he did on the computer.
Training at this Polish Combined Arms Center near the German border includes training on tank simulators, as well as mastering all aspects of driving, servicing, and repairing German Leopards. And finally, maneuvers at maximum speeds and shooting exercises at the training grounds. Instructors say when Ukrainian fighters leave Poland, they're fully prepared to operate tanks during a real battle.
The better the troops, units and subdivisions are trained, the more effective they are on the battlefield. We see that Russia, they're trying so hard to organize the offensive that they don't have time for sufficient training, and we see their losses.
Ukrainian troops are being trained in Lithuania as well. Lithuania is a NATO member, and both countries share a border with Russian allied Belarus. These ongoing exercises have become much more intense since Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022. In the last 2 months, junior officers of the Ukraine Armed Forces have received training here.
Some of them experienced NCOs already. They have combat experience, but there is also some students who don't have enough military experience, probably just basic knowledges, and during this course we train them more or less to the same level.
A lot of this training is focused on these mid-range commanders who will likely be on the front lines, teaching them to make quick decisions, be tactically flexible, and work easily with NATO troops.
The primary goal of NATO armies and NATO as a full-on military force is standardization of all of its branches. So the American troop can work with Lithuanian troop.
Getting familiar with NATO procedures is all part of President Volodymyr Zelensky's desire to have Ukraine be part of NATO. Zelensky believes it is one way to guarantee lasting peace with Russia. He has also admitted that full NATO membership is not attainable during the ongoing war. For Vladislav Andreevs in Poland and Lithuania, NRI's VOA News.
With the incoming Trump administration's pledge to begin mass deportations of undocumented immigrants in the United States, some mayors in Democratic states are taking steps to prepare for the new policies. VOA once more.
Democratic New York City Mayor Eric Adams announced that the migrant shelter at Floyd Bennett Field will close by January 15th. The shelter is in a national park where federal authorities, not city officials, have jurisdiction.
We have been concerned about Floyd Bennett Field since the election results. It is the only shelter on federal land, and we do think that could pose additional risks.
In recent interviews, President-elect Trump has signaled that he will prioritize border and immigration enforcement early in his administration. Democratic leaders have been working to shield undocumented immigrants before he takes office. Meanwhile, immigrants without legal status at the shelter have expressed concerns about stricter enforcement under the new administration.
I see that he is a man who says what he means and keeps his word. Let's wait and see what happens.
Jose says he believes that the actions of a few individuals are unfairly tarnishing the reputation of all immigrants.
There are many immigrants like my compatriots who come to commit crimes and steal. So sometimes just because of one person, everyone pays the price.
Jose is part of one of the two largest immigrant surges in U.S. history. During the Biden administration, roughly 8 million immigrants entered the country. The second comparable migrant wave occurred in the early 1850s, according to New York Times analysis of government data.
I think the numbers that we've seen in the last couple of years are historic. The largest number that we've seen in history by pure number, not by necessarily by percentage.
In the face of these overwhelming numbers, New York City Mayor Adams is adopting a conciliatory approach. Recently, he met with President-elect's incoming border czar to discuss the evolving situation.
My conversation today with the border czar to figure out how do we go after those individuals who are repeatedly committing crimes in our city. We're going to tell those who are here, who are law-abiding, to continue to utilize the services that they have a right to utilize, educating their children, health care, public protection. But we will not be a safe haven for those who commit violent acts.
Many of Mayor Adams' recent actions may be strategic moves to retain a measure of local control, Corcoran suggests.
I do think that one of the calculations he's probably making is he may be recognizing that he might not be able to stop all mass deportations or all mass raids in New York City. But if he's seen as cooperating to some extent, he may have some leverage to sort of figure out how those raids might be prioritized or what communities might be protected.
As blue state leaders adjust, it remains to be seen how effective these efforts will be. Aaron Rainin, VOA News, New York City.
And that VOA story marks the end of our bulletin tonight. We, on behalf of the news production team as well as the technical team, we would like to thank you very much for sticking with us on RTV News. I who brought you the news is Martina Evera. Stay safe and continue to enjoy the Christmas and New Year festivities of the month of December. Good night.